Earlier I heard some noise coming from the brake area of my car, so I'm going to go ahead and check that out, and I've already got brake pads just in case I need to replace them, which I probably will anyway because it's been a little while. Let's go check that out and maybe get those replaced. So I needed to get some channel locks to squeeze the caliper together, and as I came around a corner I noticed that really dark sky, and that looks horrible. I hope the rain stays away, at least long enough for me to finish the job. Well, I just got the brake pads off, and to me they don't look like they should have been grinding or making any noise whatsoever. They still look pretty good, look like they had some miles on them, but nonetheless I went ahead and replaced them. And I don't know if you can see, but there's about a 1/2 inch or so of brake pad on there. There you go, you can see it right there. So those are thicker, so I'm going to go ahead and put those on. Do both sides, that way I get them all fresh for any adventures that we decide to take. So on to the next tire. So the rain has started, which really sucks, and I just got one wheel done. So I went ahead and pumped the brakes and started to try to move it. Still heard the exact same grinding sound. So I started thinking about what else it could be and why in the world it would still be grinding. Get out of the car, go do some looking. Wasn't even the front brakes, it was the back brake. I looked and there's metal, you could tell on the inside of the rotor that it's been grinding, and so I gotta go replace that now. So I guess within the next day I'll have all new brakes all over the car, which is good for us. Sucks that I wasted my time on the front brakes. Okay, so I got a couple of these that don't want to come off at all easily, no matter how much pressure I put on them. So what I've done is grabbed a post from an old trampoline that I've saved. Just gonna slide it on the handle. If you guys don't know, this is like a cheater bar, and this makes it so much easier because you get so much more leverage on it. These trampoline bars work great for that. Upon initial inspection, you can see I barely have any brake pad on this side. The rotor still looks fairly decent. Like there's nothing that should have been grinding. But I see a lot of metal up here on the top of this caliper right here. That looks horrible on the other side. Let's get this off and we look closer. Alright, I'm going to take the caliper off first. That way it makes the pads easier to change out, and I can lubricate the shafts. And then I'll take off the actual brake assembly. Okay, so the brake rotor is off, as you can see. Alright, so here is the brake rotor. This is by far the worst that I've ever seen. This is on the rear of the car. We just heard it start grinding a little bit. Changed it at the front and it wasn't that, so this is the culprit. So what's the difference between this and the front? Well, this is a brake rotor, and this has the brake drum inside of it as well. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a whole bunch of extra things on the inside. And here's a brake pad, and here's a brake pad as well. And these work whenever you have your parking brake on. Say like the handle you pull, or underneath your dash the handle you pull, or your foot pedal that you push. This is what engages the parking brake. The brake drum assembly is very technical to take off. It's got a whole bunch of extra parts that I'm very happy that I don't have to deal with. There's still a lot of pad on these, and they look in good shape. Nothing's cracked. No springs are missing or anything like that. So let's go ahead and get a new rotor put on this wheel. So here's the new rotor. I've already cleaned it up and sprayed some lubricant on there to get it all clean. Make sure that it all slides back over top of it, and you can check by looking at your studs, making sure that it's seated back onto where the other one was. So this is good now. Now we can go ahead and put on our other brake parts. Real quick, look at that pad, how bad that was. This is the other one that's on the outside. This one was on the inside of the car. That is absolutely horrible. And right here is a new one. Look at the difference at how much worn the old one was. It actually ate through some of the metal on the pad. Okay, so everything's back on. I got new pads, a new rotor. It's all on. Now there's still a gap in between the brake pads and the rotor. The one thing you have to make sure you do is pump the brakes. After each wheel, I go in and make sure that my brake is pumped and that it's solid. Then I come back and actually look, make sure the pads are touching the rotor. Well, I just got done pumping them, came back, did the inspection, everything looks good. Time to move on to the next wheel after I get this tire on. I just got the other side off, well, at least the bolts. And one way that I can tell these have never been changed is because they still have the blue Loctite on them and they're really hard to get off. That's one way I can tell that these brake pads have never been changed. And this car was made in, I think, 07. Jeez. Well, I can say this rotor, these pads are fairly worn as well, but nowhere near as bad as that one on the other side from the inside of the wheel. Out on the test drive now. Don't hear anything, don't hear any kind of grinding, weird noises. Everything feels nice and solid. So I consider this another successful brake job. I know it took the first one for me to replace the front brakes to figure out that it was the rear brakes, but things happen. Now I got new brakes all around. So thanks for checking out today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button and share it around. If you guys are new, subscribe. Thanks for joining me. Check out all the other videos I make, including woodworking, blacksmithing, DIY stuff. I'll see you guys on the next video.